Everyone, I am going to just run down my basic Lightroom workflow from getting my files off of my computer onto Lightroom and then all the way to client delivery and social media sharing. And that can all be done from Lightroom, which saves a ton of time. And I do almost all my editing, usually 100% of my editing from a session in Lightroom. So every single thing that I can do, from prepping blogs to prepping Instagram stories, which then go into highlights, and everything can just all be done right here. All right, so I'm just going to go through it. First of all, the first thing that I did was I made a new catalog for this session. And I don't always do that. I specifically don't ever do it for my personal work. All of that's on one Lightroom catalog. But lately I've been doing it for my clients. And that just makes it super easy to clean up, to keep really streamlined, and there's no keywording necessary. And it's really easy to switch Lightroom catalogs if you need to find something. So I just don't mind doing it. And it just keeps my personal work kind of separate, and it's nice. All right, so you can do a new catalog just by pushing a new catalog, and it doesn't take up really any more space than having one catalog because it's all the same amount of files and everything like that. And in case you don't know about Lightroom, importing files into Lightroom does not make duplicate files. They are just previews. You are doing non-destructive editing, and if you use the methods that I use, you never have to have those duplicate edited images on your hard drive at all, which saves tons of space. So the first thing I'm going to do is import. And I have my own system for organizing my files, but I basically have a place on an external hard drive because I have a laptop. I have it by year. I have a different space for clients and a different space for film and things like that. I just keep things kind of organized the way that makes sense to me. But I'm just going to use this one roll that I used from the Rise Retreat. And so I'm going to keyword Rise Retreat. This is film. This is Portra 400 35 millimeter, and I know all of this because I named my folder the date. I put Rise in there because this was from the Rise Retreat, and then I put the film stock in the folder as well. Actually, the Find Lab, my lab, put in which film stock I used. But if this was digital, I would put maybe what lens I'm using if I really want to keyword that, but that can all be searched through metadata. Or anything like that, just any way I would ever want to search this. So winter, or not winter, because it's summer, but for some reason we had snow in the Colorado mountains. So snow session, family, outdoor, mountains, I don't know. Whatever you're gonna check later on. And this isn't as important in a completely different catalog, but I still like to do it anyway, in case I move them around. All right, so one thing that happens in Lightroom is things are sideways. You can just right here, from here, just switch them if you want to just get that all done. But you can also, while you're in there, do Command bracket and it will turn it for you. Since I only have 35 pictures on this entire catalog, I'm just going to quickly go through and turn those. And a lot of times a lot of times people will cull straight from this view where you can just see, you can put, like, for example, I know this image is going to be a 3. So you can do the stars right in here. You can also make this view bigger so you can see them a little bit bigger. I like to keep it small so I can see the whole thing, and then I want to look at each individual picture because I want to see if it's actually in focus, if there's weird snow somewhere or whatever. So my rating system goes like this. I push 1, and once you're in here, you can actually just push the number 1, 2, 3, whatever. So I will do 1 for any shot that I want to throw away, 2 for shots that I might want to keep if I need it. Like, for example, this one isn't super great in focus. It's not the best moment, but it's kind of cute. And if I don't have enough of him and her together, then I will still deliver that, but maybe I call it a 2. And then this one is freelanced, and it's really cool because you can see the bokeh, but I don't know, it's not like the best. And if I have a different freelance shot that's better than this, then I'll choose that one. So I'm going to say 3 or 2 on that one too. And then I just go through and rate them 1, 2, 3. So the reason I don't do 0 for shots that I'm going to throw away is while I'm going through this, I'm just going like this really fast usually. And if I forget, if I accidentally skip one and I haven't rated it anything, then it will, I don't know if I'm looking at hundreds of files. I don't know if I just missed one or if I actually meant to rate it 0. So as long as I actually have a number on it, like see, I can go back here and it doesn't have anything, so I know that I didn't do it. As long as it has a number on it, then I know I have looked at it and I've decided. So 1 for throwaway, 2 for maybe, 3 for keeper, 2 edit kind of a thing. So I'm going to choose 3 on that one, 3 on that one. I'm going to say 1 on this one because I already have a similar freelance that is better. I like that one better, so I'm just going to 1. That's cute. That's maybe a 2. It's a little funny. Let's see, and that one's, this is maybe a 2. Anyway, so I just go really quickly through, and that's kind of 3 of the same thing. So actually maybe her face is cute on that one, but I cut off her feet, so I'm going to call it a 2 or a 1. In fact, I'll call it a 1 just so we can see. I'm going to just call a couple of them 1 here, just so we can see. Oops. I'm going to call that one a 1. I'm going to call that one a 1, even though I would actually keep it. That one. Okay, this has some weird film things going on. So now I've rated the entire thing. What I would do next, I'm going to pretend this one's a 1 as well. I don't feel like I have enough 1s. So I would go into attribute and I would say rating less than equal to 1. So I would see all the 1s. So these ones would be actual throwaways, things I never want to see again. And actually none of these are. This was a really good roll. I like everything on it. But I can also change my mind here and say, actually, I do like that one, and things like that. So, but let's say I want to throw all of those away. I will just select them all, right click and say remove photos. And there are 2 options here. You can remove them just from Lightroom or you can delete them from the disk. I love to delete them from the disk. If I'm doing a digital session and I have like 400 raw files that I don't ever want to see again, I delete them from the disk. I mean, we want to get rid of those immediately. And I will usually, after a month or even a year, sometimes go through and look at my 2s and erase those. But sometimes I look at my 2s again later and say, actually, I like that best of all. And, so it's kind of good to keep the 2s. But I am done with the 1s and I would delete from disk, but not here. I'm just going to leave it. Then the next thing I would do is say greater than equal to 3. And then now I have a concise spot to see everything that I want to edit. My editing, especially on film, is super, super simple. So I would just go to my develop module and I have like a little basic film bump. Just gives me a little more color. I would change the exposure a little bit. That took out a little bit of grain and I'd say, yeah, that looks good. I bet it's going to be the same for the whole session. Then I would sync it up. That's it. So now this whole session is actually edited. I would probably go through each one if this were really a client delivery and say, oh yeah, I want this one a little bit more vibrant, or maybe I want to add a little more exposure. Oh, and I didn't change the exposure in any of these, but so I would go through each one and just fine tune and make sure I actually do like everything. But then as I'm fine tuning, I would say, oh yeah, these are my favorites. These are the ones I'm going to keep for blogging. Actually, not that one. Let's do this one instead. These are the ones I want to blog. These are the ones I want to put on Instagram, do stories, things like that. So super easy. I just flag a few and say, yep, these are the ones. These are the ones. All right. And then I come over here to this Shootproof plugin. So if you use Shootproof, and I think they do it for other client delivery publishing services, But there is a plugin that you can get that puts ShootProof directly onto your Lightroom module. So I can upload my client images straight here from Lightroom, and I never have to export the entire thing and then upload it into ShootProof, which is huge. And when I'm doing school portraits, that is really especially huge because I can nest different folders and I can prep my entire folder gallery here in ShootProof before I even do the school, so that when I'm editing, I can just add kids into their folders and then upload it just like that. And it's so helpful. Saves tons of space on my hard drive because I never actually need these edited files on my hard drive at all. If they're up in ShootProof and they're delivered to the client and I have this Lightroom gallery or this Lightroom catalog, there's no reason for me to have the edited file as long as I have the original file. So saves tons of time. So in order to get that, I'm just going to make a published collection. I'm going to call it Test Family, include the selected photos. Just in case I want to keep things nice and clean, I'm going to make a published collection set called Test Family. It's not going to like that because it's the same name, so I'm just going to add a space. That's fine. Then I'm going to just drag my little Test Family up into there. Now my gallery is ready, and I am going to publish now. While that is publishing, I'm going to go back to just the main photographs. Now I've flagged everything that I want for social media. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to the print module in Lightroom. Now, the awesome thing about this is you can have different presets in your print module for social media. So one of the things, I want to make sure I'm actually only looking at the pictures that I want. So I'm going to go to filtering the attribute and put the flag on. Oh, I skipped one part of my rating system. Once I have edited something, I will rate it a 4. So I would go through and say, yep, this is done. I'm going to call it a 4. Yep, this one's done, 4. This one's done, 4. And so I know it's not just, 3 is to edit, 4 is edited. 5 means it's like one of my best pictures ever, and I'm going to use it in my portfolio or on my website or in a contest or whatever. I hardly ever rate anything 5, but I save it for those, like some of the best shots I've ever taken. So sorry about that. Yeah, I would go and say I want to see only 4s that have a flag. And then I know I'm only looking at edited, selected prints. So one thing about blogging, if you don't know, is it depends on your service, I guess, but in Squarespace where I use it, there's never a time when I can see a vertical image all the way on my screen. So in order to put them onto a blog, I have to make diptychs. Otherwise, they'll just see, the first top half and then scroll through it, and it just makes a huge image. So I would rather have 2 side by side. So this makes it really super easy to just put these 2 together, print to file. And then I have a place just on OneDrive, which is online, so I can get it into my stories. I'm going to call this, oops, I already had test family. So now I have that going into a test family thing. Oh, I forgot to make the folder. Well, we'll do it on the next one. So I'll just do that. Print to file. Let's make that new folder, shall we? Test family. And then I call this test fam1. I'll move that other one in there. And I've done with that. So then I would go back to the library. I'm not going to use this last one because it was just a test. Then I would just, usually I'll just pick the landscape images because I've already done the vertical images, right? So I get everything that I want for my blog. I export it into that same folder I just made. Everything's going really slow because I'm actually publishing. So I already have it actually in the right place. I'm just going to make sure I'm in the right folder. So if you don't know, where's my test family? There it is. If you don't know about Lightroom exporting, there are also presets you can make for yourself for every kind of exporting. I have this one set to the right folder that I want, with the right dimensions and everything like that for social media. So then I would just call this, blog test found. It's good enough. So I just can export all of those at once and it will name them. And now I have an entire blog totally ready to go, a folder with all of my diptychs, all of the images that I want to use. So then I can go into Squarespace and just write up a quick paragraph, throw those in if I want to add my alt tags and everything like that, but it is ready to go. So then the next thing I would do is in the print module again, I go to my story grids. So I actually purchased story grids from Noble Presets, but I have been starting to make my own as well. But they have these awesome made for Instagram stories presets, and you can just do one at a time. Like if you just want to have one story, you can choose out of all of these presets. But if you want to do an entire little story sequence, you can choose, 6 at a time, and whichever way you want it. They have different spacing and things like that. So I would just choose that, and then you just drag and drop into what you want your stories to look like. You can move them around. Super easy. And then once you're done with that, I don't have enough pictures to fill these out, but you get the idea. Once you're done with that, and you can move them around in there also, if you want to. So, you just drag and drop until, and you don't even have to fill them all up. Oops, I didn't do a very good job on that one. Oh, that's because they're all like that. I know I'm putting some of the same ones in, but you get the idea of how this works. So once you have everything ready for your stories, then you just print to file, and it will bring up, there's my test family, and I'm just going to call this stories, and it puts the entire thing into that stories folder. So now I'm completely finished. I've got, if I can get to it, let's refresh my Shootproof galleries. Here's my whole test family. Ready to go. I can change my gallery settings, add my little thing, add my music or whatever I want to do, take off my watermark if I want to, have it totally ready to go. The other awesome thing is, let's say I really like this shot, but I just don't like that you can barely see this little piece of land on it. Then I can go back into, Lightroom, find that picture. Things are going slow. Take off my flag there. Oh, there it is. I'm going to go into that picture. Go to develop. It doesn't like when I'm working on things while I'm printing stuff. All right. So, just going to, like this, take that little thing out. Good. All right. Now that's done. It doesn't even look like they're near the water because it was so white. But once I've done that, I don't have to rename it or do anything weird. I can just go down to my test family and say publish now, and it will just update anything that I've changed in the entire gallery. So it's going to take a minute. It's thinking. But then once I go in here and I refresh, that little thing will be updated and gone. So that is that. I was trying to hope it would do it really fast, but it's not going to. That's that. And then the last thing I have is, I can get things out of my way here. On my OneDrive folder, I have my little blogs folder. I've got my test oh, I'm going to pull that one in there. Got my test family. Here's my entire blog ready to go. Here are my stories ready to go. I can get on my phone and download them, so I don't have to then download a bunch of photos and then open up a different app on my phone, put them into the app, then save those onto my phone. Then I have like, 20 pictures on my camera roll that I just don't need. It's all done right here. I will download these onto my phone, put them onto my stories, put them into my highlights, and then be done. So that took me, let's see, I don't know, where are we on a video? 20 minutes to completely cull, edit, upload, prep my blog and my stories for an entire session. Of course, I do have a couple more rolls of film for this session, but it doesn't really take me much longer than that. I would say I get a client gallery ready in about a half an hour, completely ready for social, delivered, all of those things. So it can go really fast, especially if you have minimal editing and you've done everything right in camera. Of course, I didn't finish all of these, but you get the idea. I hope that was helpful and that you got a few tips, and that you start using some of these modules and the plugins in Lightroom that have not been widely used before, or maybe you didn't know about them. I know they've been total lifesavers for me. I hope that was helpful. Thanks. Bye.